Well, guys, it's the first of the month. Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's the first of the month. I have read 5 books this month and I want to do a quick talk about them. I already reviewed one of the books, so tell y'all what I've read, what I liked, what they were about, and then that's it. So let's get into it. First of all, get into the shirt. It says Cozy Club. So the first book of the month of February that I read was the second book in the Taylor series by Shay Sanders. Y'all, I read Last Man on Earth and it was so good that I was like, oh, this can't be the only book. So I've read, let me see, 1, 2, this will be my 4th book by her, and I love her. I love her so much. So the first book in the series was Call Me Mrs. Taylor, and then the second book, which came out on February 1st, and I read it as soon as it came out. Like, I was like waiting, like, okay, so is it coming out? Is it coming out? Now, I will preface this by saying that it is they title it, just so you know going into it, an obsessive dark romance. And it's exactly that. The books, I won't get into the second one because I don't want to spoil the first one for you, but it's basically about like an unhinged, well, a very complex woman who basically is willing to do anything to get this certain man that she has got her eye on, and then to keep this certain man. And I mean anything. Like, if you get in her way, it's not too much for her to just you or like make you suffer in some way. Like, if she'll hurt your family just to make sure that you're distracted and you're not worried about what she got going on. Like, very, very unhinged, sometimes deranged individual. But when you read the book and then you start to get to know her, you get it, and you know that she should be locked away in prison somewhere, but also you're like secretly rooting for her and be like, like, you know, it's crazy. And like, if she was your friend, you'd be like, girl, that's insane, don't do that. But also, after I read the first book, I was like, I really want to know what they're up to, especially her. She was crazy, but she was so she was so fun to read about. The book was really good, and Shay Sanders has a really good way of writing like people who you know are flawed in like numerous ways, sometimes deadly ways, but you still end up rooting for them. And then you get to the end of the book and be like, were they the villain or were they like a victim, you know, seeking revenge? And you get it. But also, am I the problem? If you're into like dark romance and like crazy women and the men that love them, that's the book for you. I love Shay Sanders. Like I said, I read 4 books by her, and I don't think she can do anything wrong in my eyes. And I think she's coming out with a new book really soon, so I'm gonna be there. I love her. Okay, the next book that I read was Harlem Rhapsody. So the book kind of shows, it's like her life, but it starts when she gets the job. When she moves to New York and gets the job working for The Crisis, which is this Black literature magazine that W.E.B. Du Bois like founded. So that's how she finds like Black talent to put in the magazine, and she like discovered a whole bunch of like people who wrote poetry that we know about today, wrote stories, plays, all that sort of thing. So she really was like the midwife of the Harlem Renaissance, because she would not only find them but help them along their path, even if they weren't writing for the crisis. Like Langston Hughes was, when we met him in this book, he was a kid, like still in high school. And then he went to college, and you have a little bit of what he was dealing with in the book. And she was like a big part of the Harlem Renaissance, like a huge part. Like when we mention the some of the names like Langston Hughes, W.E.B. Du Bois, like you have to mention Jessie Redmond Fawcett, because she was all up and through there. So she had a entanglement with W.E.B. Du Bois. And it was an issue because he was married. And you're reading this book, you get to know her, you love her, you think she's uber talented, smart, classy, and then you start reading about their relationship. And it's complicated in more ways than one, but it's also like telling. Like, there were many points in this book where I'm like, girl, you know better. You can do better. You're intelligent enough to know to do better, but you continue to put yourself in these situations. And while she was like amazing on her own for her ability to read, interpret, comprehend, and help people within the literature space, she wasn't able to see some of the things that maybe us as a reader saw. So it was hard to watch her kind of navigate through her life with that. But the book was amazing. The main takeaway I would have with this book is just to know your worth. And don't settle for what people give you, especially if you know that you're better than that. And also just to say her name when they mention the Harlem Renaissance and some of the great people that came out of that era. Jessie Redmond Fawcett, like I said, was all up and through there. So the next book that I read was Wild Woman in the Blues. This book is by Denny Bryce. You follow two people, Sawyer Hayes and Honoré Daucourt, and there are two different timelines as well. One is in 2015, where you follow Sawyer, who is a film student trying to do like a documentary on this guy named Oscar, who in real life was a filmmaker and an author. He has some of the works already done, but he ends up finding out about Honoré, who in his timeline 2015 is 110 years old. He ends up finding out that Honoré had like a relationship or was involved with Oscar back in 1925, which is Honoré's timeline. So he goes to like meet with her to try to get some information out of her about Oscar to finish his documentary. Now then you get Honoré, who, mind you, at his timeline is 110 years old and is telling him about her life. So Honoré's timeline was way more interesting than Sawyer, which I get it, because she's telling her story of her life. Mm-hmm. Like there was points in where I would finish with Honoré's and then I would get to Sawyer's chapter and I'd be like, first of all, it was 1925. She worked at this place called the Dreamland Cafe. And a lot of people used to come through there, like a lot of celebrities, a lot of gangsters. They used to be selling moonshine. So, you know, it was a lot of foolishness going on. A lot of music and foolishness. She's socializing with celebrities like Louis Armstrong. And they mentioned Oscar. So you get her life. You get... when she gets to the Dreamland Cafe, and then some of her experiences that she has, some of the loves that she has, some of the trauma and heartache that she has throughout that time, and she tells him like her life story, so he can finish the documentary. So that's basically what this was about. There's some extra stuff that I will leave you to read and find out. It was pretty good though. It's after coming off of Harlem Rhapsody, I didn't like it as much, but it was good. And I wanted to kind of stay in that Harlem Renaissance time. And I'm not mad about it. It was good. It was good. Okay, so the next book that I read was 107 Days by Kamala Harris. That's the book that I did review on. So if you want to hear my thoughts, you should go back and watch that video. The last book that I read was for the month of February was Black Shield Maiden. And it's a thick book. It's one page short of 500 pages. And it's by Willow Smith and Jess Hendel. The book was really good, y'all. If you liked Woman King and Their Vicious Oaths by Annie Davenport, you'll like that book. I say Woman King because it was a lot of female representation and them being strong and fighting. And then I say Their Vicious Oaths because it was a lot of revenge. So I think with fantasy books, that's what I need in order to stay engaged, because sometimes fantasy scares me because the books are so big and then the world building, and I know y'all give the people in the front of the book a picture so you can kind of picture it, but I'm slow. Like I feel like that's not enough for me. So sometimes I'll get lost in the sauce. So it's about the three women seeking revenge in their own specific areas in their life. And it's also about them rebuilding their life in the way they want it to be and not what other people has dictated them to do or was told to do. So that's kind of the basis of the book. Like I said, it was really good. I really liked it. I don't want to say too much to spoil the book, but like I said, it was really, really good. I recommend it for sure. So that was all the books. These are the three that I actually had on my shelf. So taking down my shelf book by book. Right now I am reading, where is that book? Do I have that book over here? Oh, I do. Right now I'm reading Zora Neale Hurston's Their Eyes Are Watching God, and I got past like the first 3 chapters, and I had to take a break because it was a lot, but it's good. It's really good. So right now I'm like halfway through the book right now, so I'll probably finish it soon. It's not that long at all. But then this will be on my next reading wrap up. If you know any books that I should get started on reading, I think March is Women's History Month, so I'm all for it. Women's History Month very much gives Kristen Hanna, Sadiqa Johnson, maybe a little Kennedy Ryan. So y'all tell me, what should I be? Taylor Jenkins Reid. Y'all, if y'all have any ideas of what I should be reading for this month, let me know. I'm excited to see what I read next, and I will talk to y'all soon.